Hi, everyone. This is Mr. Zach here, and I'm at Hudson Public Library. And thank you so much for joining me for Preschool Storytime. So I'm really excited. This is our last one before we go to in person. So I'm hoping to see some of you in June. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So this week's theme is flowers. I thought it'd be really nice with this time of year. We're starting to see a lot of flowers um, coming up. Some of my favorites I've already seen. So you already know I like dandelions. Even if you don't, that's okay, but I like dandelions. We got to see the bluebells coming up. I hope everybody got a chance to see some of those. They are always one of my favorites to see. But anyway, the theme is flowers. So I'm going to start off with a couple books, or 3 books I've got about flowers that I think will be really good choices. All right, so first up, we've got a book called Sidewalk Flowers. And look, there we go. We've got my favorite dandelions right there. And this is by John Arno Lawson and Sydney Smith. So this is a really cool one. I think if you've watched a few of these, you already know I really like wordless books. I think a book without words is a really cool way to have to think about things. You've got to look at it and think. So there's a word interpret, and interpret means you have to figure out what it means. So this is a good one of those. So it is all about a kid walking down the street with their parent and picking all of these flowers that she sees growing on the sidewalk. So sidewalk flowers. And then it's all about finding the color all around you, seeing these interesting flowers, and then putting them in the different places, giving them as gifts to people. And it's just such a fun, happy story. It's really neat. I like it a lot. Alrighty, so next up, we've got a classic author here, Lois Elhert, and this one is Planting a Rainbow. So this is in our board book section, and this one, if you've ever read a Lois Elhert book, then you'll know that there's a very unique style. So unique means it's their own. It's not like anybody else. So this book is very much in that kind of style. It is all about the different plants growing up and their different colors. It's a beautiful book. I love it so much. Honestly, one of the biggest reasons why you get a Lois Elhart book is because the pictures are just simple, they're fun, they're really good for even the youngest readers, I would say. I can tell this book's had a little bit of love with it, but there are simple words here, but then there's also ones that might make it more interesting for some of the a little older readers too, because it's got the names of some of these plants going on, like tiger lilies and violets and roses. So it is really fun. All these great pictures of plants in here. All right, and I've just got one more. I don't have nearly as many books as I feel like I usually do, but these ones all stood out to me, so I think they are great. So the next one we've got is Bloom Boom. Look at that. You got an exclamation mark right there. Do you know what an exclamation mark means when you see it? You might not, and that's okay, but whenever you see one of those, it's like a dot with a line like that. It means that somebody's saying something excited. They're really happy about it. They're really trying to get their emotions across. So whenever you see that in a title or anywhere, that's what it means. So appropriately enough, the author's name is April here. I know we're a little past April, but I feel like it makes sense when you're talking about flowers. So April Pulley Sayre, and I might be pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry if I am, and you happen to be watching this. So this one has photos of a lot of different flowers, and then it talks about the different things that go on with those flowers, and then it shows just a huge picture of them, and it's really cool. So it talks about birds and butterflies, like you can see right there. I think there's a great picture of a bird and a picture of a butterfly right there. And then it's just got so many fun ones. And then it's really simple words in here. So bloom is what flowers do. So when the flowers open, that's called blooming. And then a boom is like a boom. So it's a boom of all the blooms, all the flowers. And then if you've got a little bit of older ones, it might be nice to read a little bit. In the back, you've got a big section here that talks all about that. And then it's got more information in the back too. So I feel like this is a good book. It's always nice to have books that have an interest for younger readers, but then if you've got multiple kids, then the older ones can also read some of the more details in the back. Also, you could always read aloud some of these ones too. So really fun, a lot of really cool info. It's got some of the flowers you see around here. I know that some people have gone to the Tulip Festival in Pella. It talks a little bit about those tulips there if you want to learn more about those. And a lot of other really neat ones that I've seen around here too, and a lot of other ones that you see around the country. So really fun book, really like that one a lot. So, all right, that's all the books that I've got for you today. So next up, I think we're going to do a little bit of a rhyme. And I didn't have one that was about flowers, but I found one about a flowering plant. So I think that that's close enough, right? And flowers always make me think of gardens. And when I think of gardens, I like to think about all the fun things to eat. So it kind of has to do with flowers, but also I just kind of like this rhyme. So this one is about peas and peas in a pod. So this one is 5 little peas in a pea pod pressed. I don't think I've done this one before. It seemed kind of familiar, but even if I had, I think it's a fun one. So if you want to follow along with me, I'll do it a few times so that you can see, and I'll speed up a little bit. So that means I'll go faster when I go through it a second and a third time. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. So 5 little peas in a pea pod pressed. So you've got 5 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And press them all together. So 1 grew, 2 grew, and so did the rest. So get all your fingers up. They grew and grew and grew and did not stop. So stretch your fingers wide until one day the pod went pop. All right, so then you clap. And so that's just like what happens with peas when they grow. They get bigger and bigger inside their pods until some kind of ones, sometimes you get them when they're still in the pod, but eventually the pods pop open and the seeds pop out. It's really fun. So let's go again. 5 little peas in a pea pod pressed. 1 grew, 2 grew, and so did the rest. They grew and did not stop until one day the pod went pop. All right, let's do it one more time, a little bit faster. You ready? Okay, let's go. 5 little peas in a pea pod pressed. 1 grew, 2 grew, and so did the rest. They grew and did not stop until one day the pod went pop. All right, thank you everyone so much for joining me for that. Next up, we've got a craft, and we're talking about flowers, so let's make a flower craft. I think that makes sense, don't you? I think so. All right, so I'm gonna grab my supplies here. So I say supplies a lot, but if you don't know that word, supplies means something. I need to push this down a little. Supplies means the things that you need to do what you're doing. So what do we need this time? Well, I've got a sheet of paper. So we're going to be making a daisy. So I think a daisy, the colors of a daisy are white, green for the stem and the leaves, and then yellow for the flower, the inside part of the flower. So I think that's going to look really cool with a blue background. So I got a blue sheet of construction paper, but you can use whatever color you want. Also, you don't have to make a daisy. I just think a daisy is going to work well with what we have. So for the stem, I'm going to use some green yarn. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to need some scissors to cut the yarn. So I always have child safety scissors here, but if you don't, then you can always ask a grown-up to help you with that. We've got some glue to stick that on with. I have some paint, so I'm using watercolor paint this time. And of course, if I have paint, then I need a brush. And I also have Q-tips, and the Q-tips are going to be the petals of my flower. So let's get started. I think the first thing that we'll do is put our stem of our flower. So you're going to take this and you're going to cut whatever the length of your stem will be. I think that looks pretty good. Perfect. Then we're going to glue that onto our paper. So I'm using just regular old school glue. So there's my stem. Now, if you want, you could also make some leaves. So if you do, just make them a little leaf shape like that. I think I'm just going to do the stem though. I think I'm going to keep it simple. All right, so now you can see I've got my stem on there. So let's do the yellow part of the flower. It's going to look really nice. I'm going to wrap this up though. All right, so when you're using watercolors, you'll need water. So I have some to dip my brush in right here. I won't need a lot because I'm just using one color. So you can see I'm dipping it in my yellow right now. So if you've got a standard rainbow watercolor set, what are the colors that your yellow is in between? Do you know? So you might just be able to look at it, but if you know what the colors of the rainbow are, it's red, orange, yellow, green, and then it keeps going. So it's between the orange and the green. All right, let's start painting this. So you're gonna make a nice circle here. I need more water. There we go. Didn't get quite enough. Like you're making a little tiny sun right above that. And I want it to be a nice bright yellow, so I'm going to do a good amount of paint on that. So you can see I'm painting right here. I've got my daisy coming along here. All right, I think that is just about perfect for that part. So there you go. We've got the green stem and the yellow inside of the flower. So now let's make the rest of our daisy. So we're going to be using these as the petals. So I'm going to break them in half. You could use scissors, but I think you can also just do it like this. And then we're going to glue them going outside. So I'll show you what I mean. So they're going to go in a circle around your flowers. So put them just like this with the puffy part facing out, just like that. And then make sure it's glued on both sides at least. And then you're just going to keep doing that, going around your flower. Now, if you wanted to do something extra special, you could make it so that there are So if you use 6 of these and break them in half, you'll have 12. And if you happen to have 12, what can you do with them? Well, you can make this not just a flower, but also a little tiny clock. And I think that's what I'm going to do. That'll be a fun little secret part of the flower. And so you can see I'm going around like that. I'm just going to keep going. So 3, 4. Got my glue going all around. So just keep breaking them up. Boop, boop. If you need help breaking them, you can also ask an adult. So look, I keep going all the way around in a circle like that. I dropped one of the Q-tips in my paint. Oops. I don't think I'll be able to use that one. That's okay. Maybe I'll use it for something else. Boop, boop. And there we go. We've got our finished daisy right here. So I think that looks really fun. So remember, we just made the stem out of the yarn. Then we painted the yellow circle to be the inside of the flower. And then we used half of a Q-tip on each side for the petals of the flower. So I think that looks really nice. You could also add a leaf if you want out of yarn, or you could paint a leaf too. But that is our beautiful art project, refrigerator worthy. All right, so that is all I've got for you. So that is it for our last of these recorded ones before we are going to meet in person in June. So I hope that I see you there. And we are also going to just be keeping these online so that you can watch these later if you like. So thank you everyone so much for joining me. Again, my name is Mr. Zach, and this is Hudson Public Library's preschool story time. Thank you so much. Bye.